And until this Liberal government can acknowledge their failures, those tariffs are coming on February 1st. And Justin Trudeau can make light of it. And and here he is. We've got to show you this.
He has talked about the border as being a great preoccupation for him.
A great preoccupation. And Dunderhead couldn't even get his sweater on straight on the right way. He had it on backwards. It is incredible. I had to laugh when he's talking about all that cocaine seized at the border. I wonder where it went. This is a game. This is a political game. And I'm outraged that people are not recognizing what's going on here. This is all about saving Justin Trudeau and now Doug Ford politically. Here's a wrap up of the border issue. This is what I'm saying. And you won't hear this on the mainstream media, and I don't think anybody else on YouTube is saying this. Trudeau wants a trade war, and the Liberals, including Doug Ford, expect us all to sacrifice. What do you say about that? Justin Trudeau just said Donald Trump has a border preoccupation.
All of us need to bear the sacrifice that would be made if we move forward with retaliatory measures of this sort.
As I said, the Liberals are spending money on the border over 6 years. 6 years. If that doesn't resonate with you in terms of that not being a solution for today, we need a solution now. Donald Trump has said repeatedly the border is the issue.
He has talked about the border as being a great preoccupation for him.
The border plan cannot be paid for because Trudeau suspended Parliament. This is another point. When the Parliament's prorogued, there's no approval going on for spending. So this hasn't even been approved yet. The spending is for the future, and it is 1/5, and this year it's 1/5 of what they have put towards the gun grab. There are no boots on the ground for this, and the RCMP bought Chinese drones in December. This is a failed, well, it's not even failed. It's a non-existent border security plan. And do you think Justin Trudeau knows that? Oh, I think so. I think so. Now let's hear what Kevin O'Leary had to say about it. I know some of you hate Kevin O'Leary, some of you love Kevin O'Leary, but I think he actually brings some sense to this discussion right here.
Or you're going to be tariffed. That's the message to the Mexicans. To the Canadians, start spending on security at the northern border and pay your 2% to NATO and stop sending fentanyl from China over the border into the United States. Or you're going to face tariffs. That's the signal there. To the Germans, if you don't start making more cars in America, we're going to tariff the you-know-what out of your cars coming here. And on and on for each country. It's the tariff signal, if you want to call it that, is a negotiating leverage tool because Trump commands the largest market on earth. There's no market larger than the United States. For China, it's a whole different kettle of fish. We're in an economic war with China.
Yeah. So that's what he's saying. Can we just understand what he's trying to say? And here's a fascinating interview on Tucker Carlson's show the other day, which I think illustrates again why Donald Trump thinks Justin Trudeau might not be exactly serious or sincere about border security, especially when the RCMP goes out and buys Chinese drones. Yes. So I want to take you to a CBC, or actually a Radio Canada story. This is not even available in English, but what's going on here? The story about how the RCMP purchased drones from China. Yes, drones from China. Now, not a good idea because we can't use them at the border. So I'm just going to take you through this story, which like I say, this is absolutely fascinating. These are DJI drones from China. We can't use them at the border. The United States is actually putting through legislation right now outlawing the use of these drones at the border. So we can't even use them. According to our sources, the equipment currently owned and used by the Canadian Border Guards is obsolete. Last year, nearly 19,000 people were intercepted, only in the Swanton sector located in southern Quebec, which covers the northern states of New York and Vermont, an increase of just 800%. 800%. I'll get back to that page. My apologies. In recent weeks, the U.S. government has launched a public consultation to ultimately ban the sale of drones from China. This is happening now. The American authorities suspect this country of using these devices for espionage purposes. The bill also presented to Congress, in which it is mentioned that DJI, it's actually DGI brand devices, feature an unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States. We have been ordered to use them only for search and rescue. The Americans are not in favor of the use at the border, confirms another agent. Our sources at the RCMP believe that Canada does not provide sufficient resources for border surveillance, particularly in the eastern and Montérégie. Our hotspots do not deserve any attention to date. Ottawa's announcement, it seems to be beautiful powder in the eyes, smokescreen, to silence the critics. Another agent told us, while recalling that border teams also lack drone pilots. So nobody guide these things. According to our information, the workforce has nevertheless been slightly revised upwards in recent weeks in the wake of Donald Trump's statement. Some agents from other sectors and departments came to reinforce the border patrols. Now, in recent months, in the wake of his election, Donald Trump has promised to trigger a state of emergency in the United States and mobilize the federal army to expel thousands of migrants, illegal migrants. Now, so what does this mean? Now, this is where things are getting really sticky. These drones are a security problem. This is
an intel person told me that this person believed that they were in fact Chinese, and that a Chinese satellite went down, was visible to the naked eye. There were news stories about it. It evaporated, it burned up, and that this person told me that was taken down by the U.S. government. That was a command and control satellite for these drones. And the belief was the Chinese government was sending the following message: we're moving on Taiwan and maybe other things. You can't do anything about it.
For the first time since Donald Trump's victory, a glimpse of what the Liberals plan to do to handle the incoming U.S. president and his demands.
There will be a sharp focus on fentanyl, human smuggling, and organized transnational crime.
To do that, the RCMP will get a new aerial task force equipped with helicopters. Chemicals involved in making fentanyl will be banned, alongside more money for drug detection, and a pitch to organize a joint task force with the Americans. But the announcement had no details or timelines.
I can't just buy a helicopter tomorrow, but there are processes where you can rent the helicopter, and we're exploring every facet that we can.
The cost, $1.3 billion, a part of trying to placate the incoming president, who's railed against what he's called the invasion of fentanyl and illegal immigrants from Canada, threatening a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods going to the States.
I think these are the kinds of things that could potentially make a political difference. Whether or not they make a material difference is a really open question.
A material difference hard to make on a nearly 9,000 kilometer border with no new RCMP or CBSA officers announced.
And what we don't have is people who can actually respond when one of these sensors goes off, because the closest Mountie post will be like 45 minutes away.
To get any of those new tools, the money needs to pass the House of Commons, part of the fall economic statement that will face a steep battle to become law. The Conservatives previously said they'd help pass a border plan, but were non-committal today.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had a prime minister who said, we secured the borders, we put more boots on the ground?
Here's that fall economic statement again. Let's have a look at this, because this is absolutely shocking. Once again, look at those numbers. That's how Trudeau's border plan unfolds. $81 million in this fiscal year. $51 million to take weapons off our streets. $10 million for protecting women's reproductive. For abortion. All kinds of money over the next 6 years for woke policies. And yeah, 1.3 billion over 6 years to unfold this one. What do you think of that? This is clearly, the numbers are there for anybody to see. This is a government that's not serious in the least about border security. And it's not serious about really negotiating with Donald Trump because Justin Trudeau wants a trade war. He wants to run against Donald Trump. So what's happening with the Liberal leadership race? And I've said again, if the Supreme Court challenge on proroguing is successful, we could be back in the House of Commons by February 14th or 15th. We could have a non-confidence vote immediately after that. That would necessitate an election within 4 to 5, 6 weeks. Justin Trudeau would probably be running for the Liberal Party at that point because the Liberals would not have chosen a new leader, and they would be 3 weeks away from that. So you see what's happening here. There's still a good possibility that Justin Trudeau could run in the next election. But wow, my God, we need another election. I can't make that any clearer. Justin Trudeau wants a trade war with the United States. I've been saying this for weeks, actually months. This is the only hope he has of clinging to power, or the Liberal Party has of clinging to power, is to create a trade war with Donald Trump so he effectively can run against Donald Trump in the next election, not Pierre Poilievre.
All of us need to bear the sacrifice that would be made if we move forward with retaliatory measures of this sort.
Let's remember this next election, federal election at any rate, is Justin Trudeau versus the Conservatives. That's what this election is about. Justin Trudeau cannot be allowed to make this election about Justin Trudeau versus Donald Trump or Canada versus Donald Trump. We need to get with the reality of what Donald Trump is saying on the border. Yes, there are serious problems at the border, and Justin Trudeau has no intention at all of fixing them or solving them or even admitting they are problems. He is dismissive. Completely dismissive. And until this Liberal government can acknowledge their failures, those tariffs are coming on February 1st.
What are you thinking on tariffs on Mexico, given these actions you're signing on the border?
Well, we're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people. Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in.
When do you think you would enact those?
I think February 1st.
Are you planning on giving notice of that?
I think we'll do it February 1st.
25% on both, sir?
Sir, on each.
On each, yes.
This is an executive. Has announced that he wants a golden age for the American economy. The federal government has continued to say clearly, as I will, that everything is on the table. If he does move forward on tariffs on Canada, as he has said, whether it be back on January 20th or on February 1st or February 15th as a Valentine's Day present, or on April 1st, or whenever he says he's going to do it, as he keeps repeating, we have highlighted that less than 1% of illegal drugs coming into the United States, less than 1% of migrants going into the United States come from Canada. But we're still investing over $1 billion in strengthening our borders. And as an illustration of what we've been saying all along, Toronto Police and the Border Services Agency just seized about 835 kilograms of cocaine coming in from the United States into Canada via Mexican cartels.
And Justin Trudeau can make light of it. And yeah, and here he is. We've got to show you this.
He has talked about the border as being a great preoccupation for him.
A great preoccupation. And Dunderhead couldn't even get his sweater on straight on the right way. He had it on backwards. It is incredible. I had to laugh when he's talking about all that cocaine seized at the border. I wonder where it went. This man is incapable of leading this country. We need an election, and we need one as soon as possible, because this government is not legitimate. This government is not in control. This government is not representing Canadians. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, folks. Don't listen to Justin Trudeau. We need this kind of attitude in Canada right now, because let me tell you, Justin Trudeau will fight tooth and nail to stay as leader of the Liberal Party and as Prime Minister of Canada, and he will use every trick in the Liberal handbook to do that. So we have to be vigilant, and we have to have perseverance to fight this battle to the end. As I've been saying since this station went on the air, we need to resolve to resist. And we need to fight for our free speech and our democratic rights to say what we believe, to speak, as John Diefenbaker said. And don't forget that t-shirt that's available out there in the store. I speak as a free Canadian, free to speak, free to believe in what I choose. And Justin Trudeau is not going to interfere with that. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right Resistance, and we'll see you again soon. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.